Momentum day A for the WeFit ReSet programming. We're trying something a little bit different because it is a reset, so we're only going to run it a couple of times so that you guys can give us feedback and let us know how you think it's going. So for the first 2 supersets, you'll see that there's reps listed. So for the first one, it's hollow hold for 8 breaths and then a bear march for 5 and 5. So when you see the reps, and we can also figure out a way to clearly delineate this on the slide if this feels confusing to anybody. When you see reps, they're gonna do it like an AMRAP that's for rounds, right? So 8 breaths for your hollow hold, 5 and 5 bear marches, and keep going back and forth between those 2 movements for that many reps until that minute is up. You'll see the next grouping has reps. The last 2, because we're still running 4-minute supersets, the last 2 don't have reps. Those are gonna be the increasing reps, as many reps as possible, AMRAPs that we've been doing previously. And I'll explain that again when I get to those supersets. So those ones would be the start with 2 reps, 1 to 2 reps, continue to climb. I start all the climbing AMRAP rep ones in Momentum Day A with 2 because sometimes 1 seems a little silly depending on the movement, okay? So for minute 1, we're doing a hollow hold for 8 breaths and a bear march for 5 and 5, and they're gonna continue to go between those 2 movements for that many reps for the 60 seconds. So for that hollow hold, a couple different ways you can have people do this. I always have them kind of work their way into it step by step. So you're gonna make sure that they can find that nice strong brace on the ground. Their arms can be in this rack position or extended overhead. So I'm setting the upper part of that hollow hold, and then I'm gonna step 1 leg out. Ideally, we're pointing the toes. 1 leg out and then the other. And I'm holding here, making sure the small of my back is flat on the ground. I'm holding for 8 breaths, creating all of that tension, and then I'm gonna come out of it. People can come with 1 leg out. If they have a hard time, they can tuck both legs in, they can tuck both arms in, or you can have them do a weight overhead hold and just contract the abdominals here. So this is all gonna be short lever, longer lever, longer lever, longer lever, okay? For the bear march, they're gonna come onto hands and knees. We're tucking those toes. They should have their knees directly under their hips, so they're in that 90-90 position. Hands are exactly under their shoulders. We're gonna come up off the ground and we're alternating that march, trying to keep that back nice and flat. And you're gonna go 5 and 5 each side. If somebody doesn't feel comfortable with this one, you can have them do a bear plank step out instead versus the alternating march. For the second set of superset exercises, you will see that this one also has the reps. So this is gonna be as many rounds as possible. We're doing plate pogo hops. So if you don't have, these orange carrots, they look like an orange carrot stick, or you don't have plates that members feel comfortable jumping on, you can just have them do a forward backward pogo on the ground. This one is giving them a little bit of elevation, just a little bit, and a little bit of a target, okay? So there's gonna be 10 pogo hops, so they're starting here. Ideally, it's quick, on and off, okay? You can use that, or you can use the plate, same thing, on, off, on, off, on, off. We all slip a little bit, okay? So just making sure they're safe with that. Again, if they don't feel comfortable going onto that smaller surface, you can have them go forward, backward, okay? The second exercise here is gonna be the plank hip dips. I think I did 8 and 8. Yep, 8 and 8. So what you're gonna do here is have not a high plank, even though that one is my favorite. We're gonna do a low plank, so they're gonna be on their forearms. So I want you to make sure that their elbows are directly under their shoulders and we are not clasping the hands, okay? Forearms should be parallel. If you clasp your hands, you engage your pecs, you start to round in those shoulders because the pecs are gonna pull the shoulder blades into protraction, okay? So elbows are directly under the shoulders, forearms are parallel, feet are hip width, and they're gonna drop their hip to one side and then the other. Okay, if somebody feels uncomfortable with this, You can have them do a step out instead, or they can hold the plank for 8 breaths. For our third set of supersets, there's no reps listed. So this is gonna be the one where you start with 1 or 2 reps and then continue to climb by a rep each time you come back around. So we're trying to get them as many reps as possible as they continue to climb through that 60 seconds. So for this one, we're doing plank into a downward dog and then skier hop. So the plank into downward dog is to help build the core stability. And then as you come into that downward dog, we're trying to get that thoracic extension, which will help with the overhead, okay? So I don't wanna call it a plank to pike, because sometimes when we do plank to pike, people move their hips or walk their feet in to try and get their hips higher. This one, you're really just trying to drive, but keeping the hands and the feet in the exact same place as the plank. Okay, so we have our plank. You're gonna really drive into downward dog, come back to plank. Drive into downward dog, come back to plank. So that would be your 2 reps. And then the skier hops, I do want them pretty close. They don't have to be touching, but pretty close. And I want them moving their arms, right? So we're coming here to here. Okay, so we have that nice lateral hop. We already did our pogo, which is forward, backward. Now we're getting our lateral. If somebody doesn't want to hop, you can have them do a banded side to side step with one of those loop bands, or if they feel more comfortable doing like a single leg here and keep it really short and small, you can always have them do that as well. The last superset, again, we are no reps on the sheet, on the slide, which means we're going to be climbing those reps each time they come back around. We're gonna have break dancers, because this goes well with the sort of reteaching, relearning the TGU, and we're going to do a single leg RDL. Okay, so we're working on some of that single leg stability, and I want that single leg RDL to have a reach. Okay, so for that break dancer, we're going hands and knees, we're tucking the toes, so it's very similar to that bear march. Tuck the toes, shoot through, shoot through. If we're going 2 each side, we hit 2 and 2, and then from there, we come tall, single leg RDL with a reach. Really thinking about driving, driving those hips to that 9 o'clock as they hit the reach, and then squeezing the glute to come tall, driving through the heel. For the break dancer, if somebody doesn't want to do the break dancer because it's too much movement, and we've already done the bear march, you can just flip them over and have them do a bird dog. So you would have them come here, so that we're still working on a little bit of core stability. It's not going to directly translate to the TGU the same, but it's still core work. For the single leg RDL, if they need help with balance, you can give them a yoga block to stand on here as they reach, or you can have them do a little toe touch, kind of like a stagger stance type variation. Just have them bring those arms out forward. For speed and agility, we're going to start first with a movement called should be in the frame, called a drop squat. I'm going to demo that behind the 4 corners. So the drop squat is something that if you've ever done any Olympic lifting, this is a technique that is used to help you get quick under the bar. So it's about your speed and dropping into the squat, hence drop squat. So what would happen is they're going to stand with their feet kind of under their hips, not too wide, and you want to kind of jump down, step in. Jump down, step in. If they want an added challenge, you can have them add a loop to the leg. So they're here, straight down, step in, okay? The loop is gonna restrict the width of their squat a little bit. If you have folks in your class who have done Olympic lifting, you can have them send their arms out for that snatch variation of a drop squat. In that case, it'd be called a drop snatch. Okay, for your 4 corners, you're gonna set this up like so, and we're gonna do hurdle 4 corners. So the goal is that you're kind of going around that box, jumping over each, okay? If you don't have enough hurdles or you don't have enough space, what you can do is take 2 away, and you would have them go forward, to the side, back, because then technically they've done all 4 corners, even though they just have half. If somebody doesn't want to hop, right? We always have the stepping option. If they don't want to hop and they want to do steps, you can make the hurdles higher. I would say give them an option. I'm inclined to always go lower because we do have that jumping backwards hurdle hop, but they can use the full red, they can use the little red, they can use the middle size, or they can do step overs. For the drop squat, if they don't want to drop into the ground, have them have a loop, hold the squat, out, out, in. For our power block for WeFit ReSet, we are going to be using kettlebell swings. So you can play around with this. If you have people who took strength day A and they're already feeling really, really good about their kettlebell swing, feel free to offer them something like a single arm kettlebell swing or a hand-to-hand, which I'll demo as you need. But we do really want them to hone their skills and their technique, because if you have a really strong kettlebell swing, a heavy swing is going to be the best kind of strengthening and cardio that you can get. Okay, so 2 feet back from the bell, hinge those hips, pack the shoulders, nice strong hike, exhale as you stand tall, making sure that that bell is tracking in that upper triangle on the way back. So again, if they have a t-shirt logo, that logo should be coming towards the ground, not staying forward, okay? For single arm, everything stays the same except it's just one hand. Pop tall. If they're doing a hand-to-hand, they're going to switch at the top, okay? We are always switching our kettlebell with any type of swing switch at the top. We do not want people switching down here. So you can use those as progressions if people want to do something that feels more challenging, but the programming is 2-hand kettlebell swing, so it gives them an opportunity to go heavy. I want them to try to do 5 swings, shake it out, take a little rest, 5 swings, shake it out, take a little rest. So sort of treat it like a 45-second AMRAP with 5 swings. Your second exercise is going to be a landmine split jerk. So we're going to bring the landmine up. The side that is with the landmine or the barbell is going to be the same leg that goes forward. So it's a dip, drive, split, step, bring it back down. Technically, for a true split jerk, you should be bringing your front foot back, but that might be a little bit tricky with the landmine being fixed. So it's a dip and drive. If you can recover the front foot first and then the back one, that is proper technique. If you don't have a landmine in your studio, which I think everybody does, but I could be wrong. But if you don't, this is an opportunity to just utilize the bell. So you're gonna clean, you can give them just a standard jerk, right? So it's a dip, drop through, come tall, or you can do a split jerk. Recover the front foot, stand, bring it down. If somebody doesn't feel comfortable with a jerk or a split jerk, so if they don't feel good with the split jerk, have them do a standard jerk with their feet square, even with the landmine. If they don't feel good about a jerk, because you do need to go heavier to make that jerk successful, just have them do a push press, okay? For a push press, it's a dip, drive tall, and then you can catch, right? So as that bell comes to the shoulder, it drops you down into that little dip, or you dip, drive tall, control the bell down. Eccentric lower is still something you can do with a push press. Push press is technically a true ballistic, so the eccentric lower is not ballistic, but if you're trying to work on increasing your overhead strength, the push press is not going to help do that, but the eccentric lower will. For your strength block on Momentum Day A, we are looking to make these exercises heavy. So we have our gorilla row 5 and 5, and we have a 1.5 goblet squat, or they can even go double bell, okay? So for the gorilla row, right, it's called a gorilla row because you kind of look like a silverback gorilla. So you're gonna go wider in the feet, you're gonna drive those hips down and back, but the chest still stays a little proud, right? So it's a little squattier than if I was hinged fully. right? So I'm a little squattier. I'm going to load and post up on the side that's not rowing so that I can find that nice strong stability and really brace in my core, right? So from the front, we're here, finding that nice exhale, and they can rotate as they hit the row, okay? But this is where they want to be. For your 1.5 goblet squat, again, I want you to try to encourage them to go heavy because this is the strength block. So if they're doing goblet, they're gonna come over top, 2-hand clean, big inhale, drop to the bottom, still holding the breath, halfway raise, back down, all the way tall. They have 5. Or you can give them the option, and it's gonna feel very heavy with double bells, but double bell, we hit our clean, zip up the jacket, big inhale, hold the breath through the bottom, halfway raise, back down, all the way tall for 5. For balance and body weight for our Momentum Day A WeFit Reset, they're gonna start with a single leg RDL kettlebell pass. So that single leg RDL with a reach that was in the warm up is helping them warm up their single leg stability for the kettlebell pass. So what's gonna happen is they're going to stand beside their bell. We're going to deadlift it up nice and tall. We're then going to find our single leg RDL, pass, pass, squeeze the glutes, come tall. Okay, if they can do this without putting that other foot on the ground, so they would just come tall and then go right back into it, that's ideal. If they need to kind of reset, totally fine. They would switch legs at the halfway point. The second exercise here is going to be something called the quarter Hindu push-up. So for this is the sort of plank downward dog piece that we did in the warm-up. So for a quarter Hindu push-up, they're gonna find their plank, they're gonna drive their hips into downward dog, nice high to the ceiling. They're gonna tap their elbows, come back tall, back to their plank. Downward dog, tap the elbows, back tall, back to their plank. If this is challenging for them, they're gonna elevate their hands onto a surface. Same thing, they're just gonna kind of drop till their elbows hit 90 degrees and then come back into that downward dog and then come back to their plank. So you just elevate the surface like you would for a push-up. If there's still issues with that, you can have them do a triangle push-up so that they're doing a little bit more tricep. This is going to be very tricep heavy.